Hi guys, welcome back to another episode on my YouTube channel. I'm Hillary Mulick, a North Carolina-based wedding photographer, and on this channel, I love to share education for photographers on how to better streamline their businesses. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about how to respond to wedding photography inquiries. We are in the midst of booking season right now, and you may find yourself not booking as much as you wish you were, and that could be because there's an issue with how you respond to wedding photography inquiries through your emails. So today I'm going to be sharing with you how I structure my responses to wedding photography emails, and hopefully you can apply some of these tips to your emails and be able to increase your bookings because of it. Now, I want to start off by saying that I think a good response email to wedding inquiries starts with the information that you get from their contact form. So if you have a really basic contact form that they're filling out on your website, that's just their name, email, and then just asking them a question about their wedding, you're not going to be getting enough information to really know what type of wedding that they are looking for, what type of couple they are, and it's going to be hard to connect with them over email. Because the whole point in your response to their inquiry is to connect with them so that they feel a connection with you, and if the pricing is right and if everything else lines up, they're going to be even more excited to move forward with you because they felt that personal connection. So make sure you're asking good questions in your inquiry form when they're filling it out on your website so that when you receive it, you're able to get really good feedback and know how to respond to them. So that goes into my first tip on how I structure my emails when I'm responding to inquiries. The very first thing I do is I write a few sentences to create a connection with them. So some of the questions that I ask on my inquiry form are the location of both their ceremony and their reception. What are some things that drew them to my photography work specifically? And do they have a portfolio of mine that they really like? Is there something that they envision for their wedding that they've seen in my photography? That's all just one question so that they can just put some details in there about their wedding and what they're looking for as far as photography. I also ask them if they are leaning towards a first look or a traditional eye reveal so I can get a better idea on how their wedding day is going to be structured. That information is going to come in later, so remember that. I also have a section that says, tell me about you two and what you like to do together. So those are the things that I feel like are super important and that are going to help me be able to create a connection with them through their email. So let's say I receive an inquiry from someone named Amy, and they filled out all this information. Now, my first 2 or 3 sentences to Amy, it doesn't have to be very long, it could be 1 or 2 sentences, but it's going to be something that creates a connection with them. So she may have filled out that they really like hiking, that they have a dog, and they enjoy going to shows together. Now, I have a dog, so I'm going to try and create a connection with them over email by saying, oh, that's so awesome that you have a dog and that you hang out with them. I have a French Mastiff myself, and me and my husband just spend all of our free time with him. He's the best. So they're going to read that response from me, and they're going to feel that connection instantly because they have a dog, I have a dog, I told them something personal about me, of how much I adore my dog and I love hanging out with them. I already know that they like hanging out with their dog because that was one of the 3 things that they listed that they like to do together. So use this information to create a connection with them. Now, in the instance where you're getting inquiries where they're not really filling out a lot of information about themselves, they just completely breeze past that question, either don't answer it or they just say something really brief that doesn't really tell you anything. You can go back to the information about where they're getting married and you can create a connection that way. So let's say that they're getting married at a beautiful estate that you have photographed at before. So you can create a connection over their venue and say, oh, I saw that you guys are getting married here. I loved photographing there. I photographed there last spring. There's just so many photography opportunities. It's just going to be such an amazing time. If you haven't photographed at that venue before, you can just see what type of venue it is. Maybe it's a barn and you have photographed a lot of barns before, so you can create connection that way. Just use any of the information that they have filled out in their contact form to create that connection at the very beginning of your email. That's going to be what's going to make them want to come back to you and ask you more questions and be more interested because that connection was made before they even saw your pricing. The second thing you want to do in your response to inquiries after you've created that personal connection and before, so you have not sent them your pricing yet, I want you to send them galleries to full links of real weddings that you have photographed. Now, if you're just starting out in photography, you may not have any real weddings that you photograph. So instead you can put together a styled shoot where you can style a getting ready portion, a reception portion, a portrait portion. It's really hard to say, and send that to them. But I really recommend that you send full wedding galleries of real weddings. This is going to give them a sense of what the wedding day is going to be structured like. So when I have couples that see my full wedding galleries, they know right away that I spend a lot of time on details because they're going to see a lot of detail images. They're going to know right away my posing style and my photography style and my editing style because they were able to see a full wedding together. I don't want my couples hiring me solely based off of what they saw on my Instagram or on anyone's Instagram for that matter, because on Instagram and on websites, we're really just posting the best of the best. And that's great if they're drawn to that, but I want them to be drawn to the entire gallery that they see of mine so that when they get their whole wedding gallery back from me, they're not at all disappointed because they've seen what that looks like from me before. And hopefully, if we're a good fit, they see these full wedding galleries and they get even more excited because they imagine themselves in these weddings, in the getting ready portion, doing the first look, doing couples portraits, saying their ceremony vows, all the beautiful reactions, because that's something that my personal style, I capture for them. I spend a lot of time on reception details, spend a lot of time on dancing. So I want them to see all these aspects of the wedding day that I've done for other clients and imagine themselves in these situations. Now, the galleries that you're linking, I recommend linking between 2 and 3 full wedding galleries for them to look at. And you can do these 2 different ways. One way is you can make sure all of these galleries are very customized to this particular couple. So if they are getting married at a barn and you have photographed at that barn before, make sure you link that wedding and link other barn weddings to either that venue or other barns that you've photographed at so they can see what that looks like and see that type of work since that's the type of wedding they're going to be photographing. Or you can do what I do and I link 3 very different weddings so that no matter what wedding they're planning, they can usually see themselves in at least one of the 3 weddings that I have linked. And all of these weddings are shot at very different venues. They're shot in very different structures. So some of them might have a first look and some of them might have an aisle reveal. Some of them may have a grand sparkler exit at the end. One of them may have a vintage car that we photographed with. So I just make sure that these 3 galleries that I've linked have a variety of different aspects in them and are shot at 3 very different venues so that no matter what type of wedding they're planning, they can look at these 3 galleries and see themselves in whatever aspects that they are drawn to and that they're going to be planning for their own wedding. All right, so far in your inquiry response, in your response email to client inquiries, you have made a connection with them. You've linked 2 to 3 full wedding galleries that they can look through. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to link your pricing page. And I've talked about this in previous YouTube videos. Your pricing page should not be a downloadable PDF because that is not mobile friendly. It's so much more work. Just people don't do PDFs anymore. What you really need to be doing is making sure that your pricing page is just a separate page of your website. So not a link that they can just access from your website. It's a direct link that you send them that is a hidden website page so that they can see all of your photography information and all your pricing information. And I also love having it on a website page so that it's really easy to update whenever you need to update the images, update the text, and you're not having to save a whole new PDF. So the third thing that you should be including in your inquiry email, your response to your inquiries, is your pricing page. Okay. The very last thing that you should be including in your response email to inquiries, and this one is really important, a lot of people end their emails with saying, I really look forward to hearing back from you, period. Or I can't wait to hear back from you, period. I look forward to talking to you more about your wedding, period. Like, there's no call to action if you are not asking them to do anything at the end of your email. So unless they felt really strongly about you in the beginning, even before they got your response, they might not email you back because you never asked them to email you back. So I encourage you to create some sort of call to action at the end of your email. Now, my favorite thing to do, and I told you to remember this earlier because in my contact form, I asked them information about their venue, their ceremony site, and their reception, because those could be two different places or they could be the same place. And I also asked them information about if they are leaning towards doing a first look or an aisle reveal, because that will depend on how many hours of coverage we'll need, because it depends on if we're going to be doing the majority of their portraits before the ceremony or the majority of their portraits afterwards. So my favorite question, call to action to ask at the end of my emails, is to ask them if they would like to see a sample timeline, because planning weddings are hard and it's really hard to know how much coverage you need for your wedding. So would you like me to send you a sample timeline? Question mark. And I end it like that. And let me tell you, 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 times, majority of the time, I get emailed back of people saying, yes, I would love a sample timeline. That it would be so helpful. And what I do is I already have a template email saved in my HoneyBook responses. HoneyBook is my client management system. I already have a template saved, a template for what a timeline is with a first look and what a timeline is with a traditional aisle reveal. And I can just quickly plug in whatever information that I already know about them, and I can send it over to them, and they just think that that is super helpful, and it just encourages us to continue with that conversation about their wedding. So this is how I have been structuring my emails for the past few years. I have been able to book solid my last few years living here in North Carolina. I only moved here 4 years ago. And by using this structure with my responses to inquiries, I've been able to create a connection. I've been able to book more ideal clients because they're able to see my full wedding galleries before they even book me. They know what to expect of me and they know if I'm going to be a good fit for them. So I've been able to do that, and I've been able to just create that dialogue back and forth with them from the very beginning, because I ended all my emails with a call to action, and it just kept that dialogue going until they booked with me. So those are my tips for you. Hopefully they're helpful. Make sure to let me know how they work for you. Apply them to your business, apply them to your response emails to your wedding inquiries, and hopefully you're able to increase your bookings for this upcoming wedding year. Let me know if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you again next week for another YouTube video. Thanks guys, bye.